Grand Rising loves, this is the altar spread for the collective today. Wait till you feel the cohesiveness of this beautiful spread. So the icosahedron is what showed up as a sacred geometry today. It's beautiful interlinking triangles. The triangles, if you remember again, are the representation of masculine, feminine, and all that is. But this is one of the Platonic solids. So all of the Platonic solids are believed to hold very specific wisdom. They're perfect shapes, perfect sacred geometry, but they all have a very specific wisdom that they hold. And if you meditate on those very specific shapes, you can be endowed with that wisdom. And so the wisdom of the icosahedron is clarity. Because when we are making decisions, sometimes it can get convoluted and confused. And just like I always raised my kids, I said, if you are ever confused when you're making a decision, you are not being your most authentic self. Because honestly, we are birthed knowing what we're here for and what we're meant to do. So if you're ever confused, it's because you've got some kind of judgment going on in the ego that's programming, that's actually not even you. And so the icosahedron showed up in the reverse. And in the reverse, it's saying you've got too much going on. And this is your confusion. And so a lot of times when people come into the awakening process, there is that battle. They're on the fence, right? One side is the authentic you, and the other side is the programmed you, whose version of you decided to be. And usually from a very, very young age. And so are your feet dangling on one side of the fence? Are you becoming more someone else's version of yourself or yourself? And that is the battle, right? And then in order to fully feel like your life is aligned and effortless, you got to be on your authentic side of the fence. You can't even be like leaning with your arm over the fence because that's going to cause the confusion. So you've got to be fully invested in your authentic self. And a lot of times that means a complete overhaul of your life. And that's what's happening for a lot of people right now. And it can be super intense because everything is changing. Your intimate relationships, your work relationships, your friendships, everything is being in this upheaval. And the reason why is because you haven't been putting in the work to align. So it's being taken care of for you. And so when you put in the work and the discipline, it becomes easier. And so icosahedron is saying, look, meditate on this, feel into your feminine receptive side to help you make decisions, because that's our deepest knowing. That's the heart-centeredness. And that is where we access our authentic self. That's also where I tend to cross dimensions and timelines, is through the heart. So our masculine side is the mental side, right? And that is the directive, the gotta go, the goal orienting. But that's also where we tend to store programming and the ego. So it can get very convoluted. But if you take yourself out of the mentalness of it, the think of it, and get into the feel of it, things become very clear. So that's what icosahedron is showing up for today. Rainbow showed up to say, it's always darkest right before the dawn. And the rainbow brings the message that just hold on, because it's about to get lit. It's going to be beautiful though. Coming out of this, it will be beautiful. The rainbow shows up, of course, we all know the whole biblical, like the rainbows are the symbol of hope and renewal. But the rainbow is also the symbol of spiritual awakening, the levels of awakening, and how you come into yourself in those beautiful soul rays and auric rays that we pass through the initiation process. And so when you are in the initiation process, which is the upheaval, you have to surrender to it. But surrender is not passive. Surrender is deep receiving. It's deep receiving. So you don't let your guard down. You are actively receiving. And so many people become uncomfortable in that. And so we have to reteach ourselves to be in that deep receptiveness. And it's up to us to do that, because that's what we've actually lost deep touch with, is that energy. And then Damburite is actually one of the Synergy 12 stones. And Damburite is a storm stone, right? So it activates all chakras, but it's a super powerful stone for expansion and enlightening. And I have lots of Damburite. Dun, dun, dun. So here is the most commonly found Damburite. This is from Mexico. And sometimes it'll even be like a pinkish Damburite. Very pretty. It's Mexico. And this was quite costly piece, but I love it. Look at that big diamond window. And there's lots of rainbows in that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it where you can see. This is actually a Russian Damburite. And also a timeline, if you could see the face here pointing to the left. There it is. And those, if you see those unnatural points, those are timeline crystals. So beautiful Damburite, Russian Damburite. And now the most rare is African golden Damburite. Also very costly. But these stones, very high vibration, beautiful stones. Oh, sorry. And so the Damburite brings the message of rededicating yourself to yourself. So it's really the same message that icosahedron is bringing. Like, don't let your guard down, but reconnect with yourself. Get on the right side of the fence and listen to what your guides, what spirit is telling you, because it's going to help you recalibrate and realign, because the programming has to be backspace deleted. And that's what Damburite is doing, reconnecting with spirit, because the spirit is who you are in your truest form. And so I love the cohesiveness of this spread. It's like kind of mind-blowing. I love it. But Damburite is saying, like, really listen, be receptive and listen. Stop the chatter. Shut up with what you think you know, because you don't know shit, and listen to the spirit, because the spirit is what really knows. And so there are many tools that you can use. Meditation, honest to God, is the most transformative thing that you can do. A lot of people use plant medicine and, breath work and ceremony and rituals, and all of that is so powerful. All of those are windows. They're not doors. None of them are a permanent way into spirit. It's all temporary. You have to have a constant, deep communion with self in order to stay in a constant state of consciousness. And so literally when I tell my clients, like, the most transformative thing I do is the cheapest fucking thing I do. And that's teach meditation. Like, if you can learn how to quiet the intellect and be in a constant meditative state, that's the most transformative thing you can do. And you will stay in a constant state of consciousness and alignment. And it's not going to say that you're not going to have triggers or that you don't have deeper things that need to be healed. I have that. But I also recognize that I am the most conscious person that I commune with. And I also know that I have a beautiful way of staying present where other people don't. And I can feel when people check out, and it's kind of excruciating. It's hard to share space with people like that. And I'm also the most honest person I know. So integrity is a lot about that too, because it's the programming that makes you lie. It makes you be deceitful, and then you hold people captive to that reality. But when you're a conscious person, you don't lie because there's no fucking need to. And because you also recognize everything as you. But really, that's the most transformative thing you can do. And there's people who say, oh, I don't have time to meditate. Bullshit. You got time for Netflix? You got time to meditate, right? What are you devoting time to? Because really, it's not, they think of meditation as this enigma or this thing. And it's like, no, it's time for you. Because you are deeply communing with you. So basically like saying, I ain't got time for that. You ain't got time for you? For real? For real, for real? So that's what, I love that about this. It's saying commune with yourself, and then you're gonna see, right? And so Amaru, this has come up many times, right? The beautiful place. And it's saying that your idea of this paradise is not a child dream. It's actually tapping into the collective dream of the entire consciousness. Like, we all want that paradise. But the only way that we can get and achieve that type of existence is unity consciousness. And the only way that we can return to unity consciousness is to drop the whole paradigm of duality consciousness, that there's a hierarchy, that there's a perfection. And the only way to do that is to backspace delete the programming, which is deeply communing with self. So when you deeply commune with yourself, you can actually align and do what the fuck you're here for. And then everything just starts to fall into place. And other people are inspired by that. And when that happens, everyone realizes that there is no competition, that everyone has a place and purpose here. And then everything starts to right itself. And that is the paradise. It's the paradise that's not a pipe dream, because there's no hierarchy and we are all one. And it's this cohesive existence that is just peace. Peace is not passive. Peace is putting in the work to deeply commune with yourself so that you can right your actions, so that you can align. And that's how we turn to unity consciousness. That's how we return to unity consciousness. Isn't that nice? Can you imagine? Wow. So that is the spread for today. Yeah. Get your shit together. I love you. I love you. And I am sorry. I'm sorry for the upheaval. I'm sorry for the programming. I'm sorry for the hierarchy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the facade. Please forgive me.